Hello, Nikki. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. You?
Good, yeah, good. And hello, everybody watching. We thought it'd be really good to make a video and chat to Nikki particularly about something called Churchsuite, which the church is investing in, and it's something that we see as an important thing that we're going to be using in the future. So the first question is, Nikki, what is Churchsuite?
Well, Churchsuite is a database management system, which sounds rather complicated, but it's been specifically designed for churches, and it allows us to store your details securely. It will help us take bookings, organise rotas, plan services, and so much more. So it's our church database, as well as keeping us connected. It's going to be a fantastic tool in being on our main tool, really, besides social media, in keeping in communication with everyone.
Okay, cool. Well, it sounds good. So it's a kind of so at the minute, a lot of our communication comes through, yeah, like you say, Facebook and probably particularly emails and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think, communication is one of the elements that we're always, as a church, talking about needing to improve on. And I think Churchsuite is going to be a great tool in getting us to do that. So at the moment, we have, not currently in lockdown, but normally we have weekly notice sheets. We have magazines, we have rotas, we have emails going out, all different platforms all over the place, and that's not including our social media presence, which has obviously increased significantly. So this will be a great way in making sure that we're all connected with each other by storing the details and using that as a platform to get the information out.
Okay, so I mean, obviously there'll be people probably listening to this who haven't heard of Churchsuite yet. I mean, I've heard it a bit, having been working for the church for a little while, but where do things stand now then? Because obviously we're not all signed up to it, and we're not all haven't done. Where do things stand with it now? Like where's it at?
So, well, I've been doing lots of the background admin side of the work, and I gave myself 5 initial goals, priorities that I wanted to do to begin with, and I'm kind of into the second stage of 5 goals, so it's quite a big task. So the first priority was to get all of our current contacts, so they're people that we have their details through our electoral roll, onto the database, and organising them in a way that data can work for future communications. So, for example, I put Niall onto the database, and I know already that he is part of the worship team, so I've added that tag to him, so that if I wanted to contact the worship team, I could just do that.
Right.
So that was just like number 1. So number 2 is to utilize the communication section, and so encouraging our church members to set up my Churchsuite, which I'll talk again about in a minute, if that's okay. So number 3 was to get to, like I was just mentioned about rotas and things like that, is to get the team leaders to start using Churchsuite to send out their rotas on. And then so 4 and 5 are kind of connected in somewhat in reasonably way, is to set up the bookings module and the calendar module. So the bookings are like all our hall hirers, and the calendar are all our church hosted events, so Alpha, church services, ABC. So they're separate because the church members aren't necessarily going to view a Pilates class that's going on in the halls, but they want us to be able to see what church services are on. So that's a really big job to export all of that data across into a new database. So that's a big chunk of my list of to-dos still being done at the moment.
So it's quite. I mean, it sounds like quite a task to get it. It sounds like something that will really help us, but it's a big task to get it up and running, and that's kind of where you're stuck. You're in the middle of.
and it's actually only scratching the surface of everything that Churchsuite can do. So they're just my kind of top priorities, and then there's like goals for the future of things that will eventually come into place as well.
Oh, cool. You mentioned about my Churchsuite. So that's a slightly different thing.
Yes.
Is that right?
So Churchsuite as a body is the admin side of things. So that's kind of like my world, all the data going on. Whereas in my Churchsuite is the church member facing side. So that's what you see as a church member.
Right.
So actually I have a my Churchsuite account as well. So when I go onto that, I literally only see the things that are relevant to me.
Right,
so
okay.
I would see the worship rota, and I would see my contact details, but I wouldn't see anything that's unrelated. So everything that we previously discussed about Churchsuite are the nuts and bolts of what goes on behind the scenes, so to speak.
Yeah.
So on my Churchsuite, there's an address book section. So you'll be able to use the address book to connect with other church members, depending on what kind of privacy settings that they've set. You can also kind of select how you want to be communicated to as well. And once all of the elements are up and running, you'll be able to get event information, sign up to events, you can even mark dates of unavailability for rotas. So if you're on the coffee rota, but you're going on holiday in December, you can mark it off so that the team leader, when they come to do it, they go, I can't put that person on that week.
Wow, that sounds great. That
Yeah,
sounds really useful.
Yes, and also, like we were saying about like ways of communicating. So there's a section there for previous communication. So previous newsletters, previous rotas. If you've received them, they'll be filed there. And I mean, eventually, what I'd like to get up and running is the online donation section that's available through Churchsuite as well, and online payments. So not just for bookings of halls, but also like event tickets and things like that. So there's lots of things. At the moment, I'm kind of going to focus on those first 5, but eventually it's going to be a great tool to communicate stuff out to our church family.
So just taking that example of the worship team again, can I so I know obviously I will have some admin role in that, but you know, imagining that I'm not, forget the admin side of it, I'm just on the other end, and I'm part of the team, and it's, you know, the my Churchsuite side of it. So if I'm part of that team and I get a rota sent to me, and I'm not around on that day, I can click on that. But is there like you were saying about the address book and the kind of potential communication between members? Is that right? How does that work? You've got any more information on that?
Yeah. So basically, as I've uploaded 171 contact details onto Churchsuite, and like I say, they're all based on our electoral roll. And I've tried to filter out those that actually are no longer part of the church for whatever reason. Now there's various defaults that have been set. So initially the default on all of the contacts is that you receive general emails and general SMSs. That's a text message, in case you need to know.
Text message. Okay. Oh, thank you for clarifying that.
It's defaulted to receive rota reminders, so you get a reminder. So you'll get a reminder, however the team leaders set it up, you would get a reminder 5 days before, just to remind you now you're playing this Sunday.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
And so they're and also by SMS. Now they are defaulted. Once you've signed up, you can edit the preferences of how you want to receive information. But I would suggest that you keep the boxes checked for receiving emails, at least emails or SMSs, because we want to be able to communicate with you. And this is one of the key reasons for getting Churchsuite, is to keep us connected.
Yeah.
We're not going to send out spam. That I have no intention of sending out spam to anybody. So it's going to be things that are relevant to you that you would receive. But also defaulted just to reassure you that defaulted is that only your names are visible in the address book at the moment. And then you can go into your own privacy settings and decide whether you want your email address, telephone number, mobile number, home address, whether you want them to be visible to other people. And so as soon as you've gone in and you've logged on and you set your login, you can go in and change your preferences however you want. And at the end of the day, it's entirely up to the individual if they want to share those contact details with other people in the congregation.
So what's the next steps for us? You know, it's totally new to most of us. So what is it that we need to do next?
So as I said, I've uploaded details of those that I hold through our electoral roll. However, they're not complete details, so there are some bits missing. In particular, quite a few email addresses that I don't have. Now, this may be because people don't have email addresses, and I do understand that. So what I need to do is just to make sure that I've got everyone's details correct. And in a week's time, I will send out an invitation for which will go to your email addresses with a login set up for my Churchsuite. Okay. So what I would kind of ask people, if they can, whether they comment on this post, just yes, Nikki, I'd like you to contact me, or whether they email me, whether it's at the office address or nikki@smartchurchlistguard.co.uk, or whether they message through the Facebook page, just to get in touch with me, and I can get in touch in return and just confirm that I've got their details correct and that they're happy to get involved. I think that would be that for me is the kind of key thing. And then, like I say, in a week's time, I'll send out the invitations, and then hopefully we'll have some form of newsletter being able to be sent out, and we can just start the Churchsuite journey.
Yeah, sounds great.
The only other thing,
revolutionary.
Well, the only thing I was going to say is that if you're watching this and you know of somebody that doesn't have Facebook and that wouldn't have seen this, do pass the information on, and I will put kind of what you and I have discussed today into a Word document, recap it a bit, so that can be passed on if they need that as well.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you very much, Nikki.
Thank you.
I think it sounds exciting.
Well, it's good to look to the future.
Yeah, definitely. All right, brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You take care. Bye.
Bye.